Imagine walking into a luxury hotel, dressed in the finest suit, only to be turned away. Not because you couldn't afford it, but because of the color of your skin. That's exactly what happened to a black billionaire when he stepped into a high-end hotel, expecting world-class service, but was met with cold rejection instead. The staff looked down on him, making it clear he wasn't welcome. Humiliated but not defeated, he walked out. But he didn't forget. What happened next is the kind of revenge money can't buy. Instead of getting angry, he got even, just not in the way they expected. With quiet determination and the power of his wealth, he made a move that left everyone speechless. The very same hotel that refused him. Well, let's just say the next time he walked through those doors, the staff had no choice but to show him respect. Stay tuned. This wasn't just any billionaire. He was a self-made man, someone who had fought his way to the top despite every obstacle. He knew rejection all too well, but this one stung differently. It wasn't about money or power. It was personal. As he walked away from that hotel, he made a silent promise to himself. They had judged him by his appearance, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. Later that night, sitting in his penthouse suite at another five-star hotel, he couldn't shake the feeling of injustice. He thought about all the people who had been treated the same way, but didn't have the resources to fight back. That's when an idea took root, an idea that would turn this moment of humiliation into something far greater. He made a few calls, reached out to his team, and set a plan in motion. The hotel had no idea what was coming. Over the next few weeks, he quietly gathered information about the hotel. He learned about its financial struggles, the history behind its ownership, and most importantly, its weaknesses. From the outside, it looked like a thriving business, but behind closed doors, things weren't so perfect. The management was barely keeping up with expenses, and the owners were desperate for a way out. They had no idea that the very man they turned away was now watching their every move. Meanwhile, the staff who had refused him continued their days, as if nothing had happened. They had served wealthy guests without a second thought, never realizing they had insulted someone with more power than they could imagine. But whispers of change started spreading through the hotel halls. Employees noticed unusual meetings, discussions about a possible buyout, and rumors of new ownership. Something big was happening, but no one knew just how much their world was about to change. Days turned into weeks, and the hotel's troubles only deepened. The billionaire stayed in the shadows, working silently, making moves that no one saw coming. He sent his team to negotiate behind closed doors, disguising his identity to avoid suspicion. The owners, desperate for a way out, were eager to sell to the highest bidder. Little did they know, the man they had once humiliated was the one pulling the strings. Inside the hotel, tension was rising. Longtime employees feared what new ownership could mean. Some whispered that a powerful investor was preparing to take over, but no one knew who. The managers scrambled, trying to maintain control, but uncertainty filled the air. Then one evening, the hotel received an unexpected notice, an official announcement that the sale was almost complete. The staff gathered in confusion, watching as an unfamiliar team of executives walked through the lobby. Something was about to change forever. The staff stood frozen as the executives walked in, their polished shoes clicking against the marble floor. The air felt heavy with uncertainty, and whispers filled the grand lobby. Managers scrambled to greet the newcomers, their faces a mix of forced smiles and quiet panic. But then, just as the tension peaked, the front doors swung open once more. The billionaire himself walked in, this time with confidence, his presence commanding the room. The same man they had once turned away was now standing before them, not as a guest, but as their new boss. Finally, the officer with the radio cleared his throat. "Sir, I think there's been a mix-up." The official held up a hand, cutting him off. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then turned it around for them to see. On it was the man's real identity. His full name, his position, his credentials. The officers' faces drained of color. This wasn't just any man they had locked away. He was someone with power, someone they should have recognized. Before anyone could react, the man inside the bathroom spoke, his voice calm but firm. "Now are you going to let me out, or should I call someone who will?" The final twist hit them like a slap. They hadn't just detained an innocent man. They had locked up someone with enough influence to turn their mistake into something much bigger. The officers fumbled for their keys, scrambling to undo what they had done. But the damage was already done. As the man stepped out, straightening his sleeves, he met the eyes of the officer who had first grabbed him. There was no anger in his expression, just quiet certainty. "Next time," he said, pausing at the door, "ask questions first." With that, he walked away, leaving them standing there, knowing their actions would have consequences. As the man walked away, the officers remained frozen, the weight of their mistake sinking in. They had acted on assumptions, not facts, and now there was no undoing what had been done. The high-ranking official gave them a long, disappointed look before following the man out, leaving them to face the reality of their actions. Outside, the man took a deep breath of fresh air. He wasn't surprised by what had happened. This wasn't the first time he had seen people rush to judgment. But this time, they had chosen the wrong person to mistreat. He knew the situation would have been very different for someone without his position or influence, and that thought stayed with him. As he stepped into his car, his phone buzzed. A message from someone who had already heard what happened. "Are you okay?" He stared at the screen for a moment before typing back, "I will be."